up a skein of yarn in a store and read the labels and thought, what the heck does any of this mean? Knowing how to read the label is really important when you're trying to decide how much yarn you need and what projects to use it for. Today I'm going to break down how to read the label, review a little bit about the different weights of yarn, and what you can make with each type. But first, allow me to introduce myself. Hi there, my name's Colleen, aka Pixel Bear. I've been buying yarn and crocheting for the last 2 decades, and I made this channel so I could share my love of crochet and yarn with crafters of all skill levels. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you can see the next time I post a video or tutorial all about crochet. Here I have a skein of Red Heart Super Saver yarn. Almost every crafter has had this yarn at one point or another. It's affordable, easy to work with, and comes in an array of different colors. It also has a clear label, so that's why I'm going to use this for this demonstration. Just remember that every company will have its own label and its own way of displaying the information about the yarn, but most of the information is similar. So on the front we have, of course, the name of the company, and then if we turn it a little bit, we have the weight of the skein and how many yards of yarn are included in the skein. So for this skein we have 7 ounces, or about 198 grams, and we also have 364 yards of yarn in this skein. This information is important when you're determining how many skeins to buy for your project. Most patterns will include a suggested amount of yarn that you should have on hand to complete the project. If we turn this a little bit more, we can see a picture of a scarf that you can actually make, and we'll go into that in a moment. And we also have the hook size here, which is 5mm or US H8. If we turn it a little bit further, you'll see that there's a pattern on the back of the label that's for this scarf here, which is pretty nice for beginners, but most yarn labels will not have this. It's just with bigger companies, they'll sometimes put a pattern on the back of their label to get you started. If we keep rotating this a little bit more, we'll have the color for this. This is called the Frosty Green. And if I keep spinning a little bit further, we have the meat and potatoes of your label. This has a lot of information in a very small section, so we're going to go over this. Let's take a look at this first line here. At the top it says no dye lot. What a dye lot is a specific batch of yarn that was all dyed at the same time. Using yarn in the same dye lot ensures that the yarn you are using always matches. For example, if you're making a single color blanket, you may need several skeins of yarn to reach the desired length. If you don't check the dye lot, the color of your blanket may change ever so slightly, which can be really annoying with your final project. Trust me, all yarn labels will include the dye lot, so you can avoid this, but big yarn companies like Red Heart may use this no dye lot verbiage on their yarn labeling. This informs us that all of the skeins for this frosty green colored yarn are guaranteed to match. This is not always the case, so make sure you check for that dye lot every time you purchase some yarn. Below this we have the weight of the yarn. And I don't mean the weight of the skein, which we covered in the front. What I mean is the yarn weight, as in the thickness of the yarn strand itself. The higher the number, the heavier the weight is. This is a medium number 4 yarn, which is great for blankets, scarves, hats, sweaters, and even some amigurumi. Your pattern will include a suggested yarn weight, which can range from 0 weight yarn, also known as lace or fingering yarn, all the way up to a size 7, which is jumbo or ultra roving. We'll get back into the different yarn weights later in the video. Next to the yarn weight, we have the suggested crochet or knitting needle sizes. And around the outside of each of these boxes is a bunch of numbers. This is the suggested gauge guide, and you can see it here. If I make 12 single crochet in 15 rows, my swatch that I just made will be 4 inches by 4 inches or 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters. I'm gonna be honest with you here though, I hardly ever use this to gauge my stitches. I usually just check what the pattern I'm using suggests and then I match that, but it's still something to know when you're reading the label. To the right of the hook and needle size, we have the laundering instructions. To save some time, many companies will include a set of hieroglyphics to let you know how to wash their yarn or products made by their yarn, which can be confusing as all heck, I'll be honest. To make it easier, I've included a yarn label cheat sheet in the description of this video down below, which breaks down not only everything that we've covered so far, but also breaks down what each of these symbols means. Feel free to print it out and use it. As we keep going down the label, we see the fiber content. That's right here. There is an endless list of fiber types and blends that make up yarn, so I won't go into all of them. But this is where you would see if the yarn is wool, cotton, acrylic, or a blend of several different types of fiber. You should choose the fiber content that matches what you're trying to make, who you're trying to make it for, and your own preferences of yarn that you like to work with. Some people are allergic to cotton, and others hate the feeling of wool or acrylic, no matter how soft it is. Keep these things in mind when you're buying yarn. This Red Heart Savory yarn is 100% acrylic. The last part that I want to mention is this label right here. This OEKO text label is listed on yarns that have been tested and certified as being free of harmful substances, which ensures that it is safe for skin and the environment. This is seen on a lot of big company mainstream yarns, and that's how you read the yarn label. Before we wrap up, let's take a moment and discuss the different yarn weights. As I said, there are 8 different weight sizes, from 0 to 7, 0 being the finest and 7 being anything bigger than a size Q crochet hook could handle. Size 0 weight, also known as lace or fingering, is used for lace work, doilies, shawls, basically anything that needs to stay light and drapey. Size 1 weight, or superfine or sock weight, is also great for lace work and doilies, as well as light socks. Size 2 weight, or fine, baby, or sport weight yarn, is wonderful for light clothing and baby blankets. Size 3 weight yarn, also known as light, DK or double knit, or light worsted yarn, can be used for baby blankets, medium weight clothing, and even amigurumi. Size 4 weight is most commonly called medium or worsted weight, but can also be known as Afghan weight. It's often used for blankets, scarves, hats, sweaters, amigurumi, and much, much more. Size 5 weight is known as bulky, chunky, craft, or rug weight, and can be used for hats, scarves, blankets, and warm clothes, as well as rugs. Size 6 is commonly referred to as super bulky, super chunky, or roving. This makes heavy-duty blankets and scarves, rugs, and can even be used for baskets. And then there's the size 7 jumbo or ultra roving yarn, which is perfect for heavy blankets and arm crocheting. I've never actually tried arm crocheting, but I may give it a shot. It seems interesting. The yarn weight is very important to consider when crocheting. The higher the yarn weight, the bigger the project will be. That's why using a heavier yarn is great for blankets and scarves, as the project can be done quicker and will result in a thicker, warmer end product. But using a heavier weighted yarn on an amigurumi can distort the final project or make it massive in size compared to the original measurements. This isn't always a bad thing though. If you want to make a big stuffed animal, simply increasing the weight of the yarn can actually have a really fun end product. And there you have it, everything you need to know about reading a yarn label. Now just keep in mind that each yarn company will have different information listed on their label, and it may be located in different areas. But always check the label just to make sure you're getting enough yarn, the right kind of yarn, and the right color for your project. Thank you for watching this video. If you found this tutorial helpful, hit that like button, and hit subscribe if you want to catch the next one. Until then, happy crocheting!